The new Huawei Mate 10 Pro is a stunning slice of the future in many ways. It embraces all the modern trends, 18:9 display, almost the perfect form factor in every single way, sealed glass back, waterproof, high-spec dual cameras with multiple exposures and hybrid functions, faux stereo speakers, continuum-like desktop PC emulation, almost every future-looking idea that other manufacturers have put into their flagships is also here on the Mate 10 Pro. Well, maybe not Qi charging as on the all-glass iPhones, which seems a missed opportunity, though Huawei has put in a monster 4000 mAh battery, so you don't really notice the lack. From my point of view, the look to the future has also meant that Huawei has dropped a standard 3.5mm headphone jack as on the likes of the Pixel 2 range and the Razer phone. I still think this is a mistake since I like charging at night while also listening with wired headphones, but maybe that's just me. And fair play, all these companies do include a decent DAC in a USB Type-C to 3.5mm dongle, plus you also get Type-C headphones with this as well, with the Mate 10 Pro, so new users really won't be upset that much. It does all make me wonder a little about the Pro part of the name though, given that the standard Huawei Mate 10, i.e. without the Pro suffix, has a higher resolution screen, micro SD expansion and an audio jack. Wouldn't it have made sense to call the former the Professional Edition and not this, which is clearly aimed much more at the iPhone X, Galaxy S9 consumer brigade? Still, Huawei think of this phone as their flagship, and Pro is considered in marketing terms as, quote, better than the standard model, so yes, blame Huawei's marketing department for this one. Regardless, this is as sleek and smooth as an all-glass phone is ever likely to get. The back is curved perfectly and the sides ridged enough that there's no problem gripping the phone in daily use. But Huawei still doesn't want an accident happening, so there's a very nice TPU form-fitting case included in every box, a nice touch. The company goes further with a factory-fitted screen protector too. Now, I wanted to rip this off, but Huawei hinted they'd rather I didn't, since they're hard to get back on cleanly and someone's got to review this after me. Regular users do like screen protectors though, so no complaints here, and OCD users like me always have the option to rip off the relatively fragile plastic so as to enjoy the smooth and durable Gorilla Glass underneath. The outstanding design and feature on the Mate 10 Pro though also turns out to be its outstanding function, the camera cluster on the back. It's beautifully and symmetrically laid out with the apertures either side housing dual LED and laser autofocus. The two main lenses are both f/1.6, a 12 megapixel colour with OIS, and 20 megapixel monochrome, from which Heady Mix, the software, does a good job of pulling great photos. The twin lens solution also enables an effective wide aperture mode down to f/0.95, though for many subjects I found the native f/1.6 were just about perfect for natural bokeh effects. Notably, the two lenses also deliver enough information for a hybrid 2x zoom. This works very well. Not as good as the optical zoom on the iPhone X, but easily good enough for casual use. You can see the camera quality in the samples here. I was impressed overall. It's right up there with other modern phone camera classics, including my 950 XL Lumia, the aforementioned iPhone X, and the Google Pixel 2 XL. Huawei makes a song and dance about the neural processing unit in its chipset. The idea is that the camera recognizes what you're shooting a photo of and automatically optimizes its algorithms accordingly, so food and flowers get extra punch and saturation, for example. In practice here, the camera is so good it doesn't really need the extra push, but hey, it all helps. A shout out for panorama shots too. These arrive at crazy resolutions, think 40 megapixels or more, so masses of detail, all thanks to the processor power, I think. Video capture is up to 4K with software stabilization possible at 1080p by 30 frames a second and below, plus the OIS works at all resolutions and also seems to improve things, plus good stereo audio. Wow overall. The other core aspect of the Mate 10 Pro is the sheer speed. A Kirin 970 chipset plus 6GB of RAM impresses greatly, though it should be noted that you should steer clear of the 64GB 4GB of RAM version, since there's no card expansion on this phone, and I just don't think an all-in 64GB will be enough for a discerning smartphone fan in 2018. Emotion UI has come a long way since the early days of Huawei phones, and on the whole I really enjoyed using Emotion UI 8.0 here on top of Android 8.0. Those version numbers could get confusing. In part, my enjoyment comes from the AMOLED screen and the way the entire interface can now be dark themed. For example, here in settings, all dark, quite stunningly beautiful in places. Of course, applications still do their own thing, and most of Google's are white-based, sadly. Come on, Google, get with the AMOLED program. Talking of applications, a few more notes of interest. Firstly, there's the usual option to have an app drawer or go with an iPhone-like everything on home screens look. I'm okay with the choice, as will end users be. Secondly, there's relatively little bloat compared to the Honor branded phones, which partly use bundled apps in order to help monetize the phone's margins. Fair enough, but it's good to see a fairly plain app set here. Booking.com and Amazon Prime Video came in here, but that's probably on the back of one of the Sims I had in the phone. Thirdly, there are some duplicate apps from Google's Android palette, gallery, music, videos, calendar, but there's nothing too obtrusive, and the usual Google apps are pre-installed as well. Although, like most geeks, I prefer to have stock Android and then build on it from there with my own app picks, the Mate 10 Pro and EMUI 8 isn't much further in terms of interface from stock than Google's own pixel interfaces from the underlying AOSP code. There are more things to fiddle with here under the hood in terms of advanced settings, but the defaults work just fine for me. I love the way the Android navigation bar could be set Windows 10 mobile style to be tucked away when needed for even more screen real estate, then brought back with a swipe from the bottom of the display. Why on earth isn't this part of standard Android? At least as an option. 1080p is fine here, by the way. With this form factor 6-inch diagonal in a compact form factor, I think the resolution is just about perfect. High quality without wasting battery and processor power on a QHD panel. Battery life was also great, with the 4000 mAh cell giving a good day and a half of hard use on a single charge. Huawei uses a proprietary fast charging system that goes up to 4.5 amps at 5 volts, but the phone was also fine with traditional 2 amp chargers, etc., all delivering via the Type-C port, of course. Also of note on the hardware front is a single speaker down the bottom. This pumps out a decent volume, though without much actual fidelity. Huawei also tries the old HTC 10 faux stereo trick of pumping out the high frequency part of the stereo left channel through the earpiece. So when you watch videos, you get a passable left-right stereo image, even though everything mid-range is really coming out of the bottom stroke right speaker. Here's a demo, full volume. It's fine for classical music, just a tiny bit tinny. For rock music it struggles, but hey, at least it's stereo, at least it's better than the phone speakers we had from Huawei and Honor 3-4 years ago. Finally, if you grab hold of a Type-C to HDMI conversion cable, there's easy projection mode, which lets you hook up a TV in order to run your Android applications, or some of them at least, in windowed or full screen mode, using the touchscreen of your phone as a virtual trackpad and, if needed, keyboard. Yes, you've seen this idea before. Your phone is your desktop, etc. on Microsoft's top-end Lumias and other Windows 10 phones with Continuum, on Samsung's S8 and Note 8 phones in DeX mode, and so on. The Mate 10 Pro can do all of this with just the one cable too, like on the Windows phones. But with any of these solutions, for anything other than trivial and casual use, I can't emphasize enough, you really need to have some kind of hub and hardware mouse and keyboard plugged in or connected. If you're trying to use this as a PC, you need finesse, you need power, you need as little fiddling with phone touchscreens as possible. Bottom line is that the easy projection mode works really well, but you'll only get out of it what you're prepared to put into it in terms of a few more little accessories in your kit bag, and you'll need to arrive at a big monitor or TV too. With the Mate 10 Pro, Huawei has done so much right here with smart component choices and great design. I still find myself gravitating to the non-Pro model, mind you, with a design that's arguably a year older, but with much more flexibility in terms of hardware, mainly expansion and audio jack. Most countries don't have the choice though. Huawei seems determined to sell one phone or the other, depending on where you live. Oh well. Taking the Mate 10 series as a whole, this is Huawei's best yet, and you really can't go wrong here.